All right, we're going to continue with shortcuts that use logical operators, but this time we're going to be working with the logical not operator and specifically looking at what is called the double bang. So the logical not, as you may know, takes a truthy value and turns it falsy, or a falsy value and makes it truthy. For example, if we look at the console here, if I do the logical not and then the Boolean true, that returns false. Now we can also do this with truthy and falsy values. So with 5 being a truthy value, that returns false. And then with null being a falsy value, that returns true. So we see this reversing with truthy or falsy. Well, what would happen if we added another not operator to the front here? It would reverse it again, and we would end up with the Boolean equivalent of the original truthy or falsy value. Let's look at that. So if we take this 5 here, if we wanted to find out if it were truthy or falsy, well, it's true. It's a true value. We do the double bang. That's what we call that, a double bang. And basically, it returns the Boolean equivalent of that truthy or falsy value. So let's look at some others here. No, we get false. Let's look at some that might not be as obvious. If we have an object, well, an object is a truthy value. An array is a truthy value. Whoops, that is not bang. There we go. A function is a truthy value. And so we can see using the double bang that we're going to get the Boolean equivalent of that truthy or falsy value. Okay, so we see how this works, but how can this be a shortcut for us? Well, if you need to store the Boolean equivalent of some value, this is, of course, an easy way to get that. So let's do an example. Let's say we have an array of scores, just like we have up here, an array of scores. And we want to create a second array that stores the true or false equivalent depending upon whether the score is above 0 or not. So the zeros are going to be false. Anything else will be true, meaning they have received a score. True, they have received a score, or false, they have not received a score. That's what we want to create, is an array that gives us that information. So a first attempt at this may get something like this. We're going to store the array, the new array in has score. And since we're creating an array from an array, we want to use the map method. The map method will allow us to do that. Map method will iterate over this array, and as it iterates over, every element will be placed into the function that we pass into map, and then it will return, that function will return something. Whatever is returned will be placed in the new array. So that's how it works. So let's go ahead and set this up. So this is the variable that will store each score as it iterates through each one of those. All right. Let's go ahead and create our function here. This is the function we're passing into map. And this function is going to do something with each one of those scores as it receives them. Well, what do we want to do? Well, we're going to check the score. And if it is a truthy value, which is what we're doing there, we're going to return true. Else, if it's a falsy value, we're going to return false. Simple as that. All right. And that will go ahead and create a new array for us. Let's go ahead and look at that, see what we get. So has score is what we want to look at. So has score, and yeah, we're getting a new array with the Boolean equivalents of those. And so anything that's false indicates, well, that has not, there's no score there yet for that. It's 0. Everything else has a score. So that worked great, but that's pretty verbose. There are some simpler ways to do this. One of which is the double bang, and that's the example we want to take a look at here. So let me just comment that out, and we'll create this one more time. much easier this time. We're going to pass in a function. What is that function going to return? Well, it's going to return double bang score. All right. It's going to return the Boolean equivalent of that truthy or falsy value. Much simpler here. And if we take a look at that, we should have the same information. And yes, we do. All right. Now, I should note there is a simpler way of doing this without using the double bang. We could have also done something like this in place of, well, let me just go ahead and copy this and I'll put it down here and comment it out so you can see it, because it's good to be aware of. We could also have just used the Boolean method on the score as well, and that would do that conversion. But as you can see, even with that, double bang requires fewer keystrokes. So another shortcut, using the double bang to immediately retrieve the Boolean equivalent of that value. That's what we're doing with the double bang. All right, let's move on.